Welcome to Clean Cut Conversations, the podcast for exceptional Southern Black men. Join us as we delve into vital topics, including mental health, relationships, finance, self-care, and entrepreneurship. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Clean Cut Conversations. I'm your host, Josh Lovett, and I got my boy Royce Massengill over here.
What's up?
And today, we got a special guest coming in because our topic is discussing, distinguishing a man's wants from his needs when it comes to the dating scene, the modern dating scene. Let's say that. So we got, author, there's a special guest, entrepreneur, life coach, military veteran, proud father, aka Doctor of Anatomy. But let's call him Hurchel Williams today.
Let's give him a hand clap for that.
Definitely appreciate it, guys. Definitely appreciate it.
That's good.
So, Hurchel, before we dive into our topics and stuff for today, tell us a little bit about what's going on currently in your life, anything special, because we haven't spoken since New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's been a while.
Yeah, we got up most of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we were jigging in there.
Had a good time. Currently, man, I just I'm dibble dabbling with retirement. I retired last July from my regular job, my secular job.
Congratulations.
And opened a type of new business for myself. But I'm still doing life coaching, still communicating. I love to teach. I call it teaching and preaching. That's my platform.
Okay.
Nice.
And so life is really, really slow. I'm laid back now. I own a farm, so I like getting out there and dibble-dabbing with the animals. But, you have to diversify yourself. And so I'm pretty diversified in a lot of different things. But this right here, this is what I love the most, communicating, teaching, and preaching.
Oh, nice, man. So, would you consider yourself, because you own the farm and everything, I don't know, man, you're just to me, I look at you as a black Ric Flair. Woo! I could see you coming out limousine. I don't know why.
Well, over the years, I appreciate that. But over the years, I've actually dimmed my light a little bit. I went through the phases of where my light was really, really bright, but it's kind of flickering. Now, I'm not, I'm in the back stages of life and just enjoying things, man, seeing things with a different lens. So I take that as a compliment, man. But the goal is to always continue to grow, continue to understand, and continue to learn. And I use that as my personal platform.
Nice. So one more question before we get into it.
Okay.
When it comes to being in the South, because you were raised in the South.
Definitely.
Now that you're so successful, you're on a farm, you've been in the military,
Mm-hmm.
you traveled, you wrote a book, you did all these amazing things. But as a black man, do you still find challenges even in the area where you're at for people accepting your accomplishments?
For me, I always say, when you say challenges, it depends on where you look and what you see. For me, I've always said the only color that matters to me is green.
All right.
But I don't really look at how others see me, because one of the things I've learned in the last 5 years or so is you may see yourself one way in somebody's eyes, but 9 times out of 10, they see you completely different. And when you realize that you're not the person you want to be in their eyesight,
Right.
it can be damaging for you. So I never let the perception of others bother who I am or take me in a different direction. So the South is always going to be the South. They say we've made progress. We have. For me, for instance, I started dating outside of my race probably back in the mid 80s when it wasn't cool. Now, everyone dates outside their race.
You're
and
right.
they don't understand the struggle we went through to get them to that point. So I say that the South has made some progress, but there's a long way to go.
Good. So let's jump into it. You have anything before we?
No, man, you know what I'm saying? I know him. I just want to get into, to the stuff that, I want to get in his brain a little bit. Yeah,
You bring. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
bring it up.
you got me. We good? Yeah, I just, just wanted to.
Okay, so
Let's get it.
So let's talk about. We're gonna go into childhood trauma.
Okay.
And present views, and how your trauma affected your present views on women, the outlook.
Okay.
Because in your book, which is available on Amazon, The Anatomy of a Cheater, it says, let's talk about it. In your book, you encounter, you have a sexual encounter with an older woman in an elevator. Do you feel that this childhood sexual trauma shaped your current views on women today because you experienced, like, explain what happened. Let's go without
Okay.
being too graphic. Let's
Without being too graphic. I mean, how can you tell it without being graphic?
Go ahead. Just go ahead.
She was older. I was 15, 16 years old, if I remember correctly. She was 31, 32. And when you're approached by an older lady and you're a young male, it's not seen at the time as sexual trauma, or it's not seen as them being a pedophile because she was a female. But man, that lady had me in love. She put some things on me. I mean, she had me on my knees, had me experiencing things sexually that I probably shouldn't have experienced until I was well into my 20s. So what that did for me to this day, even throughout my 20s and 30s, is it always made me be the person in the relationship with the most experience, because I was internally processing, looking for someone that was feeding that energy that she gave me. Because again, she outlined it. She didn't write it down, but the way she administered to me, the way she made love to me, the way she sucked on me, the way she felt on me, she made me feel things that I shouldn't have felt in my teens. I should have probably felt that late into my 20s or 30s. And so, again, whenever I would date someone, one of the things that made dating so easy for me was I was always the one with the most experience. I was doing the teaching.
Wow.
So that's a good, because I was going to tag onto that. So the fact that she was an older woman and she did those things to you, once you started diving into like other females, were you looking for experienced women, or were you looking for women that didn't have much experience due to what had happened to you with less experience?
A little bit of both. But in the very beginning, in my military years, so we're talking 19, 20 years old, most of the ladies that came at me were more experienced women, much older than me. So I knew the sex of a relationship, but I didn't know the love making of a relationship, because there's definitely a difference.
Yeah.
And so by dating these older women, they kept teaching and they kept revitalizing what she had taught me about how I should feel. And so I was able to satisfy them based on what I was taught. And I've always said, and no matter what you hear in books or what people tell you, a man is taught to have great sex by another female. You know, you don't wake up like animals in the wild and just, have sex. Animals in the wild, they do it to procreate. We do it for feeling. We procreate as well, but we do it for feeling and for love and for affection and all those things. So all that has to be taught to a young man, And so that lady, I give her the respect, even though I was dealing in pedophilia, because me being 16, her being in her 30s, but it wasn't seen as that until I got older and I understood what really was going on. She should have been doing that. I was way out of my league.
Right.
So
do you regret it?
Not at all. Not at all.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask this question. So when these males today, these boys, sleep with their teachers, and just say if it was one of your children that was getting molested by those teachers, how would you approach it? Would you say, yes, son, that's what's up? Or would you be like, would you feel as a parent?
As a parent, I've always had an open door policy. You probably treat your sons different than you treat your daughters. So me, thank God, I have 5 boys and 1 girl. God knew better. I would never condone the action, but if it happened without my knowledge, I would sit my sons down and have a conversation with them about their advanced knowledge of sex. Because again, my idea is that you're taught to make love. You're taught how to feel. And all that teaching comes from a female, because you can't read it in a book.
That's a fact.
That's right. Because to play off of what he just said, to play off of it, I was reading a book, The Way of a Superior Man, and it was talking about masculine energy and feminine energy. It's like a male carries both. See, it's a woman's job for the man to go out there and do his thing, and basically empty his thoughts. Like, go out there. That's why when we bust a nut, we don't feel anything. We don't want to talk. We don't want to do anything. But the women, they're all in the waterfalls. They're all in their feelings. They're swimming everywhere. They're doing all that, right?
Wait a minute, I have those feelings too.
Okay.
I
Well,
gotta let you know, I get there too.
So what he was basically explaining is that women are there to heal our feminine side, to get us to feel, so we don't go out in the world not feeling, showing empathy. And
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's what you're pretty much saying, is that I know the relationship that you have with your women, we'll go deep into that.
Okay.
There's some type of strong bonds you share with them because you can share the feelings with them. And that's what I respect about you. You're just not knocking them left and right. And then they're upset and they're like, I hate that dude. I hate him. Because most of your women don't hate you.
Nope. Because the goal, like, again, my goal was always to leave them with something that they didn't come in with. And so what that lady taught me early on was to have feeling behind the physical emotion, have feeling beyond just busting a nut. So to be honest with you, I was in love with that chick. Didn't realize it, didn't understand the emotion called love, but I was in love with her. And so it, in a sense, it ill prepared me for the love and the emotional side of sex.
So
I was
that was
just
your
out there
first.
banging it.
That was your first.
No. She wasn't my first.
Okay.
She was, but she was my first real lady.
Okay.
I was messing with young girls. So after that, it lasted about a good year.
Yeah.
And after that, I tell you in my book that I found out she was married.
Dang.
And that devastated me.
Right.
I mean,
Oh, that's right.
absolutely
I recall
devastated
that. You were upset.
Yeah.
when her husband came to me and he made a mockery of it. He said, "Oh, so you're the little boy that my wife says has a crush on you, on her." And in my mind, I was thinking, no, I'm the young boy that's knocking her boot.
To the left.
And I was knocking it. And it was good. It was
Damn.
real good, you know. And, you know, so here lately, since I got a lot of time on my hand, I've been doing a lot of soul searching about my past and, you know, about how I came to be. And you asked me earlier, would I do it any different? No, I wouldn't. I would want to have life just like I am, because I always tell people, a life coach is someone who's lived life and can share their life experiences with you. So that's where my my dynamic came from.
So
Cool.
how was you able to maintain your masculinity in a sense? And when I say that, you got a lot of sassy men today. I'm not going to label no men out there, but a lot of sassy men. I'm sure you were in your feelings when you found out
Absolutely.
about her being married, but how did you channel that into where you still kept your dominance? Because any other guy would have cried. They probably wouldn't have messed with no more women. They probably would have went to the other side. You know what I'm saying? We have a lot of that today. So my question to you is, like, how can a man, if an older woman chases after a younger man, how does he accept that? Should he make that move, or should he block her and be like, I'm gonna take my time? In other words, because there's a lot of older women saying that the men their age aren't doing enough for them. They're not listening. They're in their feelings. They're not taking the masculine role they should be taking. So in the end, like, how do you think women should approach younger men in this case, due to your experience? Because you turned out pretty well, man. Like,
I did. Thank you. For me, I took a whole different approach. For a while, I was angry. And I took that anger out on every female that I met beyond that. And when I say angry, I didn't mean in a physical sense. I meant in an emotional sense. And so when I had sex with them, my goal was to leave a mark. Let them know they've been riding. You know what I'm saying? They've been with a real man, because as time progressed, I kept meeting dominant women just like her. So obviously I must have attracted that, because I was in a never-ending search for wisdom about sex. And so, you know, nowadays, everybody talks about multiple orgasms, men being able to have stamina, buying medicine for that. No, I met a lady later on who was older. In my book, she's called Diamond. And Diamond taught me the art of having multiple orgasms. You know, she taught me how you break them up. Instead of having one big one at the end, you break those things up. And I took what she taught me and I mastered it.
As far as a man having orgasm.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I remember one of my critics who read my book said this book is laced with multiple orgasms, and she made it seem as if I was lying. And I said nothing in my book was a lie. You know, this lady taught me how to break them up and enjoy them. You control the emotion. You control the physicality of sex, and you control how many times you have an orgasm. And that's what made me successful in my practice when I was doing sexual therapy with men and with women, how to make the whole experience last instead of just wham, bam, 20 seconds, man, you know.
So you teach them to use their natural instincts, their natural self.
Yep.
So you don't prescribe them anything and be like, "Hey, man, you need some Viagra. You need to try this new honey that's out here. You need to try this new juice out here." But if that's a way for them to engage with their wife properly, then you would recommend that.
I always said when I was teaching, I said my goal is to teach women how to have squirting orgasms, because that is the most intense orgasm a female can have.
Yeah.
And then how to teach men to have multiple orgasms. I'm not talking 1, 2, or 3. I'm talking 6, 7, 8 in each setting. That when it's done, it drains them. The emotional connection is there.
Yeah.
The physical connection is there. Everything is connected by two people. The only problem you have with that is when you have sex with someone that's not experienced or has not ever experienced that type of connection, they instantly think that you're the one. This guy is the one. So I can't tell you how many times I was the one for the women I was with. I was just doing my job. But
And they base that off of the physicality, like just the sexual.
that's exactly right.
So because I feel like this could be a whole little session itself. So let me switch gears real quick. It's trying to stay in that.
Okay.
In this relationship dealing with women realm. So like, I noticed you said like nowadays. So nowadays is a little different because, you know, when you were speaking of like your past relationships, a lot of those interactions were face to face, phone call or two. You know, we didn't have FaceTime and anything like that, no text messages and nothing. So like now that we're like, say, in this age of social media, like, do you think the age of social media has like affected dating, like dating online and stuff like that? Like how different? Like, can you compare and contrast those two from how you interacted with women then and then compared to now? And what are some of the, you know, pros and cons you feel?
Everything now is complete fantasy. And when I say that, I mean it. When you don't know who you're talking to, you see a picture of someone, you see a video of someone, but that could be somebody from a foreign country trying to woo you in just to get in your pocket. They have an agenda, and it's completely different. I would much rather have a conversation or a sit down with someone than I would to speak to them over social media, whether it's Facebook or any of the social media sites, because you don't know what you're getting unless you're sitting down in front of them. So if I meet someone online and I'm interested in them, I try to quickly move it from online to a phone call, to a text, a real text message, or to a coffee shop. Because if you move it to a coffee shop, you get a chance to try before you buy. Meaning you can spend $15 on coffee, and if it didn't work, it didn't work. You're not out here buying a whole meal. Not saying that I'm cheap, but the goal is to get to a certain point where you can grow together and go together. And nowadays, it's just not that way. Social media, it gives a person a platform to hide who they truly are.
In other words, do you feel like it makes them feel like antisocial in real life? Like,
absolutely.
When you just be online all the time, and then it's like, okay, let's meet up for a date, and it's like they almost like they're still in their phone when you see them.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And it's true. You know, everything now, again, is electronic. It's media. That's why I try not to date young people.
Okay.
Because if you're dating somebody young, then you expect exactly what you're getting. Like he just said, you're sitting at a table and you're supposed to be interacting and meeting one another, and you look across the table and they're checking their phone. They're looking at their text messages, or they're scrolling on social media in the process of having dinner with you, where we should have open dialogue. So it's completely different, you know.
So let me ask you, you're taking them to a coffee shop. Now you saw that post where there were places where not to take a girl, the Cheesecake Factory, this stuff. If they won't even go to the Cheesecake Factory, how do you lure them to go to a coffee shop? That's crazy. That's my thing.
It has to be mutual. And you guys have probably both, as masculine men, experienced what I'm about to say.
Okay.
When you meet a person online, she has a lot of suitors.
Right.
So you can't think that you're special. But I can tell you the one surefire way to move a conversation from social media to personal or face-to-face.
Okay. All right.
Here's the one way, and it's simple. And I want everybody to write this one down. When you meet a woman, you give her just enough of yourself to be dangerous. So for me, whether it was Tinder or Plenty of Fish or any dating site, whenever I would reach out to a woman, I'd leave her with a question. Women by nature are curious. So I would say things like this. You know what? You're absolutely beautiful. You are. And I'm sure a lot of people tell you that. But do you realize what your best quality is from my side of the table or from what I'm seeing from your social media site? And I leave it at that. I've had women tell me, oh my God, Dr. Anatomy, I waited for hours for you to get back on just to answer that question, because every woman wants to know what their best quality is. And I always say, you show me a gorgeous woman, show me drop dead gorgeous, and I'll show you a woman who's insecure.
Okay. So before that, let me ask you something. So when you approached her to tell her that, how did your profile picture look? Did it look like unprofessional? Did you were you in your jogging pants, your cowboy? How did it look? What would you recommend for men or suggest that men do first before they start attacking like that?
I give them a wide variety of me. So I work outside sometimes, so I have a cowboy hat on at times. I have a suit on at other times. I give them different ways of how I look. I can dress it up or I can dress it down. But since nowadays 98% of everything is visual, I never try to show my financial status in the picture, because that's not what you're looking for.
Okay.
I don't put a nice car. No. I always put basic. If you can't deal with me basic, you can't deal with me when I'm way up high, riding high. So the goal is just to have a conversation, to get her off the screen, I always say. And to get her off the screen, you got to stand out more so than all the other guys. So, for example, most guys say, hey, beautiful, you sexy. Or, hey, gorgeous, what's going on? Or they may send her a picture, an undesirable photo of them below their waist. Never do that. I never do that. I always go at them with a question. Because, like I said, a woman by nature is inquisitive. She wants to know, what is it you saw in me? Leave her thinking. You have to separate yourself from the hundreds of guys that are sending her messages.
Fellas,
I'm telling you.
Stop showing the D.
That's right.
I just saw a post on that online. Like, you stop doing that.
But so if what you seek is sex, what would be your tactic? The old Hurchel, but online, what would be your tactic for these men? If that's all they see.
Look for the ladies who say, if you're looking for sex or a one-night stand, keep moving. Do you know what she's saying to you? Yeah. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Bam.
Because the people that say that, they're living off their subconscious. I can't tell you how many times I use that as a way to reach them. Okay, oh, she's great. She's not looking for a one-night stand. And guess what? Dr. Anatomy don't believe in one-night stands, but I do believe in a two-night stand. Meaning, if I meet you the same day, women take a lot of grooming to get ready to have sex. I don't want you if you're not at your best. Yeah. So if I meet you at a club and you stinking and you've been dancing all night, that ain't the night I want to see you. I want to see you the next night. Yeah. And so with that being said, basically what she's telling you is she does have that desire. I won't go into detail about who she was, but I can say I dated a Miss America contestant from late 90s. And she went into all the things while we were talking online about what she didn't want.
Yeah.
I don't want a one-night stand. I'm not just looking for a physical relationship. The second night, like I said, we had wine. I see everything coming.
Oh,
When
damn.
she invited herself to my home and bought a bottle of wine,
You knew.
that was her way of getting, quote unquote, white girl wasted.
Yeah.
Because if she get white girl wasted, what won't happen? She can't drive home.
Yeah.
So I gave her a spare bedroom, and she said to me, "You're not going to sleep in here with me." I slept with her, but I didn't give her anything. Even though she nudged up against me, backed it up 3 or 4 times in the middle of the night, I still didn't give it to her. The next morning, guess what happened? I beat it up. I beat it
to the
up.
left.
So let me ask you something. Does this work? I'm just gonna be straight up with you. Does this work mainly for white or black women? What's your approach? Because do you feel resistance from our black women more with the tactics you just said? Because usually there's a different approach that we have to use, I feel, as black men, because we come off as misogynists and domineering.
So that's a whole nother topic when it comes to dating races.
But
I try not to structure my dating prowess for race.
okay.
I try to use the same tactic on everyone. Now, that may or may not be a wise thing for me to do, but over the years, if you ask me a percentage, I probably have dated 75 to 80% Caucasian women
Okay.
versus in my younger years where I dated only what was available to me, which at the time, coming out of the inner city, I dated a lot of African-American women.
Right.
So was that purposely, or because I recall, because I mean, now y'all, we've had plenty of interviews before. We tapping into this younger crowd. What 70, 75, 80%? What was that reason? What was the reason for white girls only in that high percentage? Was there a
Because
tactic?
the lack of resistance. I won't go and tell you that black girls won't do what white girls will do, because everybody would do anything at any given time. However, white girls, the climb to them was a lot different. When I say the climb, I mean getting from 0 to 60. You know, not saying that white girls by nature are easy, but white girls enter a relationship with the same understanding you do. If they want to knock boots, they're going to knock boots. Whereas in my feeling, you know, and you have to always say that, use your own opinion, because people will say, well, you said this is, no, I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm speaking for me and what I've gone through. When it comes to dating my race, it takes a little bit more massaging to get to the finish line.
Gotcha.
Even though they want the same thing, they make you put a little bit more effort into it.
I understand.
You know,
Got you.
we can go deep into it. I mean, when I say go
Right.
deep, a black woman has been told by her mother that she's a queen by nature.
Right.
And that may be true. But to maintain that queen status, they want you to put out financially. They want to know where you sit financially.
Right.
They want to make sure that you can take care of their needs. And if you know me, when you have done your own homework, you should already know that I can do that.
Right.
So it takes too much effort to get to the finish line.
Right. So let me ask you something, because I don't know. It's been a minute since I read the book, but
Okay.
I'll just be totally frank with you. But I think I assume sometimes your preference of Caucasian women is based on your childhood experience. You told me there's a photo, a painting in his house where it has a black child holding hands with a white couple in
Correct.
the middle.
Correct.
Like, explain the traumatic, because your mother basically gave you away, or
She didn't give me away. When I was young, my mom and dad divorced when I was like 11 or 12, and I went to live with my father.
okay.
And then at the time, we were bused to an all-white high school. And so when you're in Rome, what do? You deal with the Romans.
Right.
But I learned through therapy that the reason I have an affinity for white women, I should say, is because of something happened in my early childhood. I was in 3rd grade. And I don't know if I ever told you this story, though, but I was always a very astute child, very, very smart, straight A's. And in 3rd grade, the teacher came in and she said, we're going to do the play of Snow White and Seven Dwarfs
Mm.
for your parents at night, but also for the kids during the day at school. So twice. We'll have 2 productions. And she said, since Hurchel is the smartest kid in class, he can choose, based on your GPAs, we'll let you guys choose what you want to play in the play, what actor or actress you want to be. Well, when she came to me and asked me, I said, I want to be the prince. She laughed. This was in 1980, I'm going to say 84. She laughed.
Yeah.
Today, the things that she did would have been frowned upon. She probably would have lost her job. But she said, you can't be the prince, you're Black.
Okay.
And I think that scarred me for life. Because some of my sexual antics, even to this day, when I'm making love to a white girl and they want to role play, I become extremely dominant. Extremely dominant. I don't know if we rated X here, rated
Go
R.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go
I
for
become really dominant with the things that I say.
Yeah.
And I always preface that by saying, when I meet a young lady and I'm dating her, I say, now, what we do in the bedroom can stay there, but don't let me disrespect you. If I say something that hurts your feelings, let me know. But I mean, you can only imagine the times I say, call me this, or you are.
Had some colonial moments, man. Some slavery time.
yeah.
Who does belong to?
Whose property is this?
That's exactly right. But I say N-word this and
go ahead.
N-word that because I think it's a way of taking back what was taken from us back then. You know, me not being able to be the prince. Bitch, I'm the prince now.
Yeah.
And I beat it up. I smack it up. And I make them say words that they're not comfortable with while we're having sex. And, you know, it's all done in fun.
We'll put some Aladdin on the Prince Ali of Baba.
That's exactly right.
Herschel gonna die as a martyr, bro.
I'm just saying, bro, you know, and a lot of them in the beginning, they always come with, oh, I don't use that word. Or I don't say that.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, you in-loving slut. You know,
Go
so,
ahead.
yeah,
Yeah.
I say it. I make them say it. You know, whose is this? It's yours. You know, so and I did that for years because I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed taking that control, but I also enjoyed trying to bridge the gap from the 80s until current years. Because hey, you know, if you want to be with me, you got to pay the price for some of the things that your ancestors did.
Ooh. Black power.
But there you go.
So all right. So before we get lose track, man, like let's talk about like the societal perceptions and relationship norms today. Like the hookup culture, right, is very influential in a way to where it almost misconstrues the concept of cheating. So I don't know what's cheating. You got polygamy, you got different types of polygamy out here. Then you just got friends with benefits and all this. But do you feel that being in a committed relationship is even relevant anymore?
You know, for me, it's a good question. It's a really good question. For me, one of the most important things in a relationship is honesty. And a good friend of mine told me years ago, he said, if you want it, put it in the universe. And so whenever I date now, or I'm currently in a relationship, and my goal is I consider myself polyamorous, which is a polygamist. And there's a lot of different versions of it, a lot of different rules to it.
Yeah.
But I just say to myself, I live my life for who I want to be. So I have gone on record. My book is called Anatomy of a Cheater. So what does that tell you? I've gone on record to say that I've cheated and I enjoyed it and I wouldn't live my life any other way because cheating taught me how to be pleased and what I want. Most men don't even know why they cheat. For me, in this day and age, guys just like the feeling. They like to have sex. They like how it feels while they're doing it. But if you haven't researched it or understand, then you're just spinning your wheels. So my goal nowadays in 2024 is for men just to be honest. Tell them what you want because most women like women as much as you do. You know, and for most men, that's scary. They don't like seeing or visualizing their woman with another woman. And for me, hey, That's the best fun in the world.
Now, let me ask you this. When you went through, let's go back to your trauma on that one. For Black men, we don't like seeking mental health therapy or any type of sessions to get our mind right.
Right.
So these men out here today, would you suggest that they get their mind right before playing the field? Because like you said, there was times that you wanted to leave your mark. And I'm assuming that was before the therapy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
there you go.
When it comes to men in therapy, there's a stigma that Black men don't like therapy. And you know, that could be true. I can't quote the percentages, but if you feel that there's something you're missing, then by all means, therapy can really work for that. But for me, I call it live life therapy. Live life therapy is being honest with the person you're with to a point where if your honesty shocks her and she leaves you, that's something you have to deal with. You know, but most women would appreciate your honesty more so than they would a lie. You know, if you tell them straight on, I just dealt with somebody not too long ago that was out of a relationship. She says she and her husband divorced because he wanted to see someone else. And I said to her, well, what if he came home and told you? What if he said to you, you know, I love you. I love being with you. We've been married for 15, 16 years. But at this point in my life, I want a little bit extra. I said, how would you have dealt with that? She said, I told him going on. And I said, that's why I cheated on you.
Damn.
I said, had he told you the truth, you know, you couldn't handle it. So he cheated. So you can't have it both ways. You got to say, okay, everyone says they want honesty, but can you handle it? Is how I look at it.
And speaking on that, to add to that therapy, it's interesting because a lot of people usually think that therapy is just you're just supposed to transform and just to completely somebody else. But the way you were mentioning it is like, well, if I was going to the therapy, I'm just going to be honest about what's going on with me and what, like you said, what I enjoy. Like, I like this, I enjoy this, but am I going to therapy to change the way I think, or am I going to therapy to be more expressive in the way I think with other females?
I think it's the latter. I mean, you go to therapy to be heard,
Right.
for people to, or for someone to listen to you and give you basically their opinion
Right.
about. I mean, there is no right or wrong answers to the way you live in your life, you know. But I always tell people, a therapist can't help you if you don't tell them the whole truth.
Right.
True.
You can't beat it up and kind of sugarcoat. You have to tell her he or she exactly what's going on. And I mean, currently, I'm a therapist who's in therapy. And so I speak to the same lady every Thursday at 10 o'clock. And not only do I get therapy from her, she refused my batteries.
Okay.
I wait till Thursday morning to tell her exactly what I've gone through the previous week.
Yeah.
And if I miss a week, then it's that much more information. And it's only an hour, but you'd be amazed at how much I look at the clock and say, damn, that hour's already over, because I call it data dumping. You're dumping all the data from the previous week. And so you can't get out of therapy what you need from it if you don't put the right information into it. You have to tell them exactly what's going on in your life. So to your question, I know we dibble dabble, but
fine.
To your question, dating people nowadays, no one's being honest. And I think that's the tragedy of social media.
That's right.
You can be whoever the hell you want to be. If you don't like your profile, you just create a new one.
Right.
You know, and that's the only major downside to me with social media, that you can be whoever you want to be. And people, I hate to say it, but they lie. And they lie a lot.
But okay, I'm gonna play off of his word. So when you look at men and women today, right, there's this a statement that you make, right? Like, first off, let's put it all on the table. We're trying to engage in a relationship. Here's what I want. Here's what you want, right? So my question is, it goes back to your statement. You say, like, adults do what adults do. Like, so if you're bound to cheat on someone, you need to ask yourself or explain why you feel that you need to cheat on this person. So when you say adults do what adults do, explain that in a relationship term and in a relationship perspective.
It's very simple. Very simple. Adults do what adults do or want to do. Is what that says is, if I can do something and get away with it without anybody else knowing, I'm gonna do it. We do this every day in life. If I go to a lady's home to repair something and it turns into sex.
Mm-hmm.
She has a husband. I have a wife, hypothetically. If we do it and nobody else is there, adults just did what adults wanted to do. You know, if the light is on and the opportunity is there, I think we'll do it. More so in 2024 than ever before. I mean, look at all the movies and all the sitcoms where casual sex has just risen. You know, everybody wants to be physical to a point where it's, if you ask me my opinion, it's out of control. People don't look for the inner feeling, or they don't look for emotions, or they don't look for all the things that are there beyond physicality.
Okay, let me ask you that beyond physicality. What about these people out here that are mischievous, that just want to destroy a man's ego or destroy a person's ego? In other words, let's talk about the physicality. You know, we know that social media puts a smoke screen on people, right? But let's say a man, let's talk about, I'm gonna go into it, transgender, and being fooled and deceived. You know, you're a man probably looking for a girl, probably looking to settle down, but you feel that social media, when it's out of control, that's what you say. Like, do you feel that, I mean, what do you think, how do you feel about women that don't expose their true physicalities to you? And you're trying to engage in a committed, honest relationship, but then you find out they're the opposite sex.
That's scary. That's absolutely scary. And I honestly believe there should be a law against it. You know, we think about I think it's the LGBT number of letters community,
Right,
you know,
right.
and we give them a lot of support. I get that, and I'm all for it.
Okay.
However, if you've had a transgender surgery, or if you're someone that used to be a female or used to be a male, and you're dating someone who has no idea, that's a deceptive practice, if you ask me. You know, I would like to know that if I'm dating a woman, her journey started out as a man. I think that's only my right to know. But nowhere that it's not written anywhere that they have to, you know, tell you about that. Or
Do you feel they should? Because I mean,
I feel like they should.
I feel like that's very, it's very deceptive because when we're talking about honesty, first of all, they're not being true to themselves. You know, and then so it's like you're not being true to yourself. I mean, despite what you want to do with your body, it's cool, you know, but I still think you're not being true to yourself. So I wouldn't expect them to be true to their partner, you know. I've experienced that myself, not physically, but online, where I'm really thinking that this is a woman and I'm defending her. And then the comments are telling me, hey, bro, this is a whole man. I'm like, and she literally said, remember I told you, she literally said, I don't tell the dude that, you know what I'm saying, I'm transsexual until we get to doing the do.
And I'm telling you, to me, that's dangerous. It's a dangerous practice. It's not fair to the person that is exposing himself or herself to to that person. You know, you can't just feel that it's okay to enter a relationship under deceptive means. And that's exactly what you're doing. You know, I don't want to learn from someone else that this person could have been or is possibly a man. You know, if I choose to date a transgender or transsexual or whatever, that should be my choice.
Right.
You know, you didn't start out as a female. You started out as a male.
Right.
So, like I said, I could go on and on about that. You know, everybody has their own opinion, but I feel like if your ID say you are a male, I don't know what the laws are against it. I don't know. Can you literally change your ID to a female? I don't know. But that's something I would like to know. I'd like to know where your journey started. And it's funny that in 2024, we're even having this conversation, but we have to ask the other person, who are you? What were you before? You know, I don't want to look at some of your body features and say, wait a minute, is that masculine or feminine?
Well, let me ask you something. Like, not only should it be against the law, but to me, what if it got to the point where the man murdered this individual, right? Do you think there should be some type of relief a little bit? Because maybe the man was a monogamous person, Christian man, religious man, and now he feels violated. How do you look your pastor or bishop in the face saying that, man, I just engaged sexually with a man and I wasn't even married at the same time? So him taking his emotions to that next level, do you feel it's really criminal? Like, do you feel it's
I think it can be. I think, taking someone else's life, whether it's male, female, transgender, that's wrong. I'll go on record and say that's wrong. However, everybody's mental state is different. So you don't know what that guy was going through, what happened. But I just feel like if you're going to have a sex change and spend that type of money, be honest with yourself, because that's where it starts. It starts within yourself. And so also give the other person the same respect. Be honest with them.
Okay.
So that's crazy. So so the book Anatomy of a Cheater, right? And so when it comes to the cheating, right? And especially now in these days, because in what I've seen online a lot where a lot of this red pill stuff is going on. They're saying, well, if you're getting this high value man, you should expect him to want to be with other women. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't want no cheater if he's going to be, and then on the flip side, you got some people saying, well, some people will question, well, what is cheating if you allow it? Like in this 2024, do you feel like people are looking at infidelity differently now?
Definitely. Absolutely. When you got websites that are geared toward you cheating, I can't think of the site right now off the top of my head, but it says it's a secret website that was made by the million. I can't think of it right now. It'll come to me in a second. But cheating is definitely looked upon differently. And I've always said, is it cheating if I tell you?
Well, if you looked at it, because if you're cheating on a test, right, that means that you're.
Or you never asked.
Yeah, you never asked.
Or you
never told either.
Yes.
Yeah, you're being dishonest. Yeah, you're not telling what you're doing, and you never asked what you're doing either.
So are you? I don't know. How are you being dishonest? I always tell a person when they're like, well, ask the right questions. I'm not going to volunteer. I want to be dangerous.
Okay.
Like you just said, I want to be dangerous. I don't want to give you all, because I see what happens when you give yourself everything, or you give that person everything. In a sense, is because they use those manipulative tactics against you, and they know how to press your buttons.
So you're saying they're not cheating if they don't ask?
No.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay.
Because like you said, cheating and infidelity has been misconstrued today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just need to know what kind of relationship you're trying to form with this person.
Right.
If it's committed or polyamorous. If it's polyamorous, then it's like, to me, it's not cheating.
Right, because cheating would be just you're not telling them, you're not being honest about what you're doing in the relationship. Transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So so in today's time now, like, we would have to add into what you were saying, really to narrow down. Okay, let me just be honest about how I'm feeling, what I would like to do. No, but here's the question: do you say all this before you dip into another, little honey bun? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
You should. For me, I always try to tell the person I'm dealing with who I am, what I like. And I go on record. I've told a person, you have some of the best kukanana that I've ever had.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. Let's get it.
You've had some of the best I've ever had. It's really good. It's satisfying.
Amen.
And if I choose to see someone else and get some more, what does that tell you? That tell you that you fulfilled me and it's great, but sometimes I like cherry pie and sometimes I like apple pie. And the fact that I want a variety and I've told you about it should mean something. So I enter all my relationships now with that type of honesty. And most women are open to that, and they understand that, and they'll say, okay, as long as you allow me to assist in the selection process of the person who's serving that pie, we'll be all right.
Is there a give and take with that? Because, like, when you said, as long as they can help assist, I mean, sometimes their taste may not be your taste. They may approve of somebody that, like, okay, well, I'll go with this one. And then in your mind, you're like, I don't know. I mean, why'd you pick that one? You know what I mean? Like, where's the...
But it's a conversation. It's definitely a conversation for you to have. And for me, I I'll go on record saying this. I don't meet a woman that I don't tell about my current situation.
Okay. Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
So if she's dealing with me, I might meet her at the car wash and I might think she's very attractive. But at some point in the first few days of communicating with her, I'm going to say to her, hey, are you into women? Because I got a girlfriend who is. Or
Got you.
would you be okay meeting my other friend? Because she and I are in a relationship. And if you're into it, and you know what? You don't have to be into women. You're into me.
Right.
So if you want me to be happy, then understand that I'm going to date you. I'm going to date her.
Yeah.
And they're all, I've heard them say, well, I don't want to meet her.
Yeah.
Well, then that's cheating. I need you to meet her.
So you're being
Because some
transparent.
people would rather you not tell them
Right.
you have someone else than to
Right.
tell them you're seeing somebody else. And that's, to me, that's the scariest thing, because if I go out here and I meet somebody and I lie and tell you I'm single, I'm not seeing anybody, and we can mingle, you like being with me. But if I tell you I have a girlfriend and she's open to this, you want to run away. What kind of sense does that make?
Right. So do you feel it stemmed from your first older woman sexual encounter?
Definitely.
Because you didn't know she was married. Would you have felt some way if you found out she was married beforehand and she's like, we're about to do this?
At 16, probably not.
Okay.
Right. But looking back, as an older person, and I said, my father used to always say, when you know better, you do better. And I know better now. And so I try to keep all my cards on the table, because as you age and as you progress in life, you don't have time for all those extra conversations that are hidden. I'm not going in the bathroom and texting behind my girlfriend's back. Or I'm not going to I don't have time for all that.
Right.
I'm going to do it right here in front of her. And so, and that's what I need her to understand, that it's all good. We're going to always do this together.
Okay.
No matter how good your kukanani is, I might want some more.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and try to wrap this.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's all good. I love the conversation that we're having. But I want to answer this question. So we talked about if your kids or your children engaged in the same type of lifestyle, had the same experience, right? Are you transparent with your own children about who you are?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So none of them resent you in no type of way?
No, not
Or
at all.
Okay. Or you don't have no type of weird miscommunication?
Now, the older, I said I have 5 sons and a daughter. They've seen me with several. And believe it or not, my kids went in the opposite direction of me.
Really?
When I say opposite direction, they don't have a cast of female suitors.
Yeah.
Most of them are one woman type men. And that's okay.
Right.
Everybody has their preference. And I actually asked myself, I said, I wonder if that's from what they saw their father do. They saw me in and out of several different relationships. I never tried to hide who I truly was, especially when I carried the moniker of being single, because I feel like if you're single, you should mingle and you should enjoy life.
Right.
I hate to see a person in a full committed relationship, whether married or just in a relationship, not living life, not enjoying the sweetness that's out there to enjoy. So I'm not saying having multiple women is the driving force of where we should be, but I'm saying, try before you buy.
So when you look at your own children and their monogamous relationships, are you proud?
I'm very proud of them, and I applaud them. And if they ever come to me and they ask me about how life is beyond that,
Right.
I'm honest. If they say, Dad, I'm just not feeling this anymore, then maybe it's time to pack up and do something different. But I let them live their lives. I don't interject where I shouldn't.
And have they ever, as far as you said, them seeing, how you were living your life then, has any of them came up to you and be like, yo, Pops, you wilding or something, or man, have they ever got on you about that, or did they just kind of accept it?
My oldest son, he and I, we can talk like that. The other ones, out of respect, they probably never would.
Yeah.
They don't. I don't put it out there on the table or have 5 or 6 different women around them. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
I'm still a private individual, but they know. And so if they choose to ask questions, they do. But my oldest son, he and I, we laugh about it. He's the only one that's married, and we laugh about it. but he's in a committed relationship. So I try to keep it above board with him. I don't try to make my life seem any better than his because he's married and I'm not.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it honest. You know, people ask me all the time, you have a 16-year-old daughter. Would you want her dating an older man? I say absolutely. Absolutely.
I've heard
because
that. Yeah.
an older man is going to keep it 100
Keep 100.
100.
and he's going to look out for her.
Right.
He's going to give her the necessary experience that she needs going into the dating scene, because right now the dating scene is like going into the jungle.
It really is.
It is.
And it may sound weird. It sounded he kind of plays a little daddy role though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he
you know,
does.
make sure you kind of watch her, make sure she's good. You know, put her on some knowledge. You know, some game. You know, like, hey man, these cats, they gonna tell you this, they gonna tell you that, tell you this. You know, and I've noticed that. But like, I mean, dude, I date a younger chick, but what I have noticed is that when I've seen older and younger relationships, like it's interesting. I don't know. Well, not just say it from a personal standpoint. Being an older gentleman, in a way, I feel, I don't want to say accepted, but I feel heard because of my experience. So it's like if I tell her something or I give her sort of some insight on something, it's just how she soaks it in. It's like, oh man, this is new information for her. You know what I mean? And I don't look at it like rubbing my hands like Birdman, but it's like, oh wow, like I actually taught a lesson. I actually said something and then she took it and then applied it.
Right.
And it makes me feel like I'm daddy or something, man.
Well, if you think about it, though, think about that concept.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like your daddy, right?
Yeah.
When you think of a father, right, you think of confidence.
Yeah.
You confidently are expressing this information and sharing this information like you have experience. Women are insecure. We all know that. Women are insecure. They look for security.
Yeah.
You are securing her.
Yeah.
Her thoughts. Her reality, in a sense. And that's why she's looking up to you. She's like, oh, I got a wise dude. I got a guy that's been through things that can show me. Because what if she didn't have a father figure in her life?
True. Yeah, yeah.
You are that experience.
Yeah.
So you best to leave the best experience on her so she can continue to find men of your caliber.
That's true.
And there's definitely a sweet spot to that. I mean, I don't date young girls, because a lot of extremely young girls who've just left their teens and into their early 20s, they think that their pussy is lined with gold. And
what's your cutoff limit? Like,
give us
what is your cutoff? Like, how many years from you is the least? Most?
I will go back 20 years. I'll go back 20 years.
2 decades.
That's my sweet spot. Yeah.
Okay. Right around there.
But I'm not going any further than that, because now you can find someone who's mature in her 20s. But for the most part, they think, again, that theirs is different than anything you've had. They think that, I mean, they're oblivious to what you've experienced in life. And it's like the song says, I heard it all before. I've heard it all before. And so don't come into my life thinking that you're more experienced than me, because I've seen it all. I mean, we can all learn things, but when it comes to relationships, and, you know, I think as a man ages, he gets wiser.
Yes,
He's
true.
like fine wine. And so if my daughter came to me and said, Dad, I'm 24, 25, and this 40-year-old guy's trying to date me, what do you think? I said, honey, you know, be careful.
Yeah.
See what he's about. But you have my blessing.
Yeah.
Because he's probably going to look out for her. See, my daughter's foundation has been laid. When you're a good father and you've been in their lives, they're not looking for daddy figures because they have a father.
Right.
They're just looking for people that are good to them, that can treat them as well as their father did.
They got that blueprint.
That's
Exactly.
that's the word.
blueprint.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed that.
Right.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
Because if you think about it, the game is really the same. The same people. Yes, we're in a new jungle. The rules are just changed a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the same game.
Yes.
Because think about it. When we listen to music, we're like, music has changed. I'm throwing the subject, but music has changed, right?
Yeah.
But the same stuff that our parents were like, man, that rap music, oh man, come on. We're doing the same jump. We're doing the same thing. The rules are just a little different, but it's the same character.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to share your story? Well, join us at Clean Cut Conversations. Let's talk mental health, relationships, finance, self-care, and entrepreneurship. Your voice matters, so let's make a difference together.
We were talking about like 50 Cent and all that stuff and how the black community thrives off of broke. You know, that's what he was pinpointing. But in the end, a broke mentality seems to be a way to become successful. It just seems like the more broken you are, the more you sell, the more money you make. Ain't that sad though?
It is sad, and it seems as if the person who rises to the top and corrals the broke people are the people that unfortunately are successful.
So let me ask you something. Whenever the older woman approached you, did she see you as prey, like broke?
Definitely.
What kind of man, what kind of boy was you before that? There you go.
I mean, I was very outspoken, not necessarily shy, but to this day, I always ask myself, why did she approach me? But we were in an elevator, and
Go ahead.
her question was, you ever had a grown woman's pussy? And I said, no, ma'am, I haven't. And from that point on, it was her goal to show me what it was all about. And it got to a point where I wanted to know what day she was working so I could match my schedule with hers. I was like a small child chasing donuts. You know, she worked in the salad bar in the kitchen, and I was a busboy at the time. Dang. And I would go by there and ask her, are we seeing each other tonight? She was like, sure. You know, so, I mean, there were times when we'd go upstairs on the roof 3 or 4 times in one day. Because, you know, a young boy's hormones are something else.
You got that right.
Right.
And, you know, she was sucking it. She was bending over. She was doing all types of stuff that I hadn't seen before, you know, at 16. I mean, yeah, I had sex, but nothing like what she was doing to me. And it was all unprotected.
So he was the bus boy, and she was tossing salads. What we talking about on the job? But it's funny, so many reasons.
Boy. He was busting.
He was busting all right.
Yeah, he was busting.
She had them salads, but look, that's very interesting. So just to add to that, why do you think it is so different between a man and a woman when it comes to that situation? You being that young as a young male,
pedophile,
compared to a woman being that young and then having that done. Why are those dynamics why are they judged so differently?
In my opinion, I feel as if society frowns on a man being an older teacher or somebody in the position of power, dominating a young girl. And if you ask my total opinion, it's because the young girl can have a baby. They can leave a mark or something, and, you know, her mind isn't fully developed. Whereas when it comes to a young man, you know, his little hormones are raging out of control. Mine were. And when she said, don't tell nobody, shit, I didn't tell nobody because I didn't want anything to interrupt what I was getting. Whereas I feel like a young girl goes back and tells somebody because she wants someone to know what she's dealing with, that she has the wherewithal to mess with an older person. So she's going to brag. Whereas I didn't tell anyone. And it was funny because my father and I both worked at the same job.
Damn.
And I would look at my dad try to flirt with her.
Yeah.
Not knowing his 16-year-old son was knocking the bottom out that ass. And, you know, I was always well hung for a young guy. That's what she always told me. She said, you know, you got that and you don't even know what you're doing with it. You don't know how to use it. And I didn't. I didn't. And that was the gateway to my life. And so looking back, I must say that's the one thing that structured who I became in the future. You know, knowing how to please a woman. Because if you can please an older woman, anything beyond that or below that is just gravy. So,
so when you say if you can please an older woman, right, you can please a younger woman, pretty much.
Definitely.
But what about these women today? They have so much expectations. These younger women, it's like you have to be damn near platinum.
You got to eat everything.
What? Nothing really, when it comes down to brass tacks, it's still about knowing what to do, knowing how to make her feel, and making sure that she has an orgasm. And that's what the old lady taught me, how to rub, feel, and touch, do more than just one thing. You know, you're not just entering her. If you're using your penis to make love to her, do you use your hands to do other things?
Gotcha.
You know,
Right.
And so basically I hate to say it, but I was her prey. She taught me how to please her. And I guess she wasn't getting it at home.
Did she have you do some carpet cleaning?
You know what? Not then. I didn't. No, she was doing all the work. I didn't know anything about that at the time. You know, all I was doing was rubbing, playing, and feeling damn good, and doing different positions. You know, I don't think at 16 I had ever done it from behind.
Interesting.
So she kept bending that
you
big old
kept
booty over, and I kept sticking.
You kept seeing.
Woo.
I know as a young person, it is so, I mean, especially doing it just straight up with the meat, like just the rawness. And I mean, look, y'all, look, this is just real conversation. Make sure you get yourself checked, right? But I mean, as a young kid and you feeling it meat to meat.
I mean, just raw emotion and fluids and, you know, and she's sucking up all the things your body can produce. I had never dealt with anything. Wasn't no young girl sucking me and keeping all the drops that came out of me.
Yeah.
You know, so this lady, I mean, took me to an entirely different level. And I remember she left that job and I may have saw her 2-3 years later and it was like it never stopped. Even after I found out she was married, I still had this an affinity for her. And it wasn't as frequent as it was, but every now and then she worked at the cleaners. And every now and then I dropped my clothes off and dropped some other stuff over there too.
So you feel that she basically honed in on your innocence.
She did.
And then on top of that, turned you into somewhat of a predator.
A freak.
A freak.
I would say.
Okay.
So every girl that I met up until that point, after that point, I was the driver. I was the person that was doing the teaching. I was the guy who was leading the show to say, based on what she had done to me. And, you know, it wasn't that I knew that. I was just doing it. And, you know, when I look back from 26, 27 and look back to, you know, my early 20s, I just started looking at the type of people that I had been dating, these rock stars. And it was all based on what I was doing physically.
Okay. Well, it's time. We can wrap this up then. So I guess we've learned a lot about you. I'm sure there's more to the story.
Quite a bit more.
You can definitely check out the book, Anatomy of a Cheater, which is available on Amazon. You can choose to have the hard copy or you can choose to have the Kindle version, which I have both. So I still, every now and then I go back and just check out. I guess that's my way of checking.
Get you the hard copy. It's nothing like it, man.
Using as a reference.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pause. Yeah, pause.
You said, give me the hard copy.
Give me the hard copy.
No. We don't.
For the kids out there, pause. Pause.
But no. So with a closing statement, Hurchel, is there anything that you would like to leave our audience with, especially when today's topic was distinguishing like the differences when it comes to a man's relationship between his wants and his needs? What would you like to, how would you conclude all this?
Well, I'm glad you asked, and thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure with you guys. But wants and needs, when it comes to sex and intimacy, there's truly a gray line. It's kind of murky because a man's needs and wants kind of start to intertwine with one another. You know, my suggestion is just communicate about it. Okay. Tell your person that you're with exactly what your wants and needs are and see how close you guys can come to fulfilling those wants and needs. Because again, there's a gray area, and sometimes that gray area can become dark if you don't tell them exactly what your expectations are.
Okay. Well, like I said, we appreciate you for coming through.
Yes, sir.
Like usual. Like I said, we're here to close it out. I'm your host, Josh Levitt.
Hey, it's your boy, Royce Massengill.
And we are out.
Do you want to share your story? Well, join us at Clean Cut Conversations. Let's talk mental health, relationships, finance, self-care, and entrepreneurship. Your voice matters, so let's make a difference together.